Hello, everyone. I'm David Shaw, and welcome to today's webinar. I'm glad that you could join us for this first webinar of 2026 for Family Business Magazine and FO Pro, the Family Office Professional. I hope that you and your family members all had a great new year and holidays, and that this new year will bring continued good health and prosperity. The term family office is widely used, but often misunderstood and rarely defined. Today, firms across the wealth management spectrum, from private banks to RIAs, market family office services, yet few truly operate as a fully integrated family office. In this webinar, we will examine what a family office actually is, the range of family office structures in use today, and what an optimal family office looks like. Should be a fascinating discussion with a number of takeaways. But before we get started, I'd like to get some housekeeping details out of the way. We welcome your questions and your comments throughout this webinar. Use that question bar down below where you see the slide, and just type in your question or your comment. We'll get to as many of those as we can. We will go for no more than 60 minutes today. And if we can end early, we will, of course, but we won't go long. So I'm pleased to introduce our speakers for today. Cerity Partners Justyn Volesko, Andrew Cooper, and Jennette Brilliant. Justyn is a partner in the New York office where he serves as co-head of the Cerity Partners family office. As an attorney with an LLM in tax law, Justyn has a unique ability to understand various intricacies of the tax code and officially integrate them into clients' lives. Andrew is a partner in the New York office where he also serves as co-head of the Cerity Partners family office. His deep involvement in various areas of clients' life put him in a position to oversee daily legal and financial transactions, spotting issues and protecting clients' best interests. Jennette is a partner in the New York family office where she brings 20 years of experience in the financial planning industry. Her experience working for C-suite executives as well as building out the family office at a premier hedge fund allows her to leverage her knowledge and expertise to provide excellent service to a growing client base. So I'd like to, first of all, welcome all of our speakers here. And I will take the slides down I have taken the slides down for a moment and bring them back up when you'd like. So take it away.
Very good. Thank you very much. I first want to thank you, David Shaw, Family Business Magazine, for hosting us today. A big thank you to everyone joining the webinar and taking an interest in this topic. And really a very big thank you to two of my favorite people, Andrew Cooper and Jennette Brilliant, for doing this webinar with me today. Genuinely excited to be here together to talk about a topic that the three of us feel very passionately about. The three of us started working together almost 24 years ago and have spent close to 20 of those years in the family office industry, helping to build family offices and really making it our life's work to think deeply about how they should operate in practice. Over the years, we've seen some pretty significant growth in the family office space, with the meaning of the term becoming increasingly diluted. And given that growth and the dilution, we thought it would be helpful to host this webinar to discuss what a family office means to us and begin to set a clearer bar what a family office is meant to be. So with that, I want to introduce Andrew Cooper. Andrew and I are very much yin and yang. He's been my business partner for the last 14 years and best friend for the last 24 years. As David mentioned, we currently co-head the Cerity Partner Family Office together. Before that, we co-founded a multi-family office called AJ Wealth. And before that, worked together at the Goldman Sachs Family Office. And over the last 14 years, Andrew is always the one to kick things off. So I'll hand it over to him to give some additional background.
Great. Thanks, Justyn. Appreciate those kind words. Thanks, everyone, for joining. I'm going to start with just giving some background on ourselves and how we came together, as I think it's an important starting point when we talk about the family office service that we provide today. Justyn and Jennette started when I was at ACO in 2014 4 years ago, and I was tasked with taking them out to lunch on their first day. And we bonded over sandwiches and our love of financial planning. And that started a very long relationship where we spent a lot of time together on a variety of topics that our clients were facing. And, we'd be out at dinner with friends, and the three of us would be in the corner talking about estate planning and taxes as our friends would make fun of us. We're sitting here today, 24 years later, brought back together and running this 30 Partners family office. We started our careers at ACO, and ACO company got purchased by Goldman Sachs in 2004, and we joined the Goldman Sachs family office. We worked with partners of Goldman Sachs on their personal finances. As you can imagine, working with Goldman Sachs partners in an internal group to the firm when we were in our mid-20s and kind of given this client base to work with, it provided its challenges with really sophisticated clients that had lots of needs. Fortunately, we were in a position where we were not in a product-pushing business, which I think in wealth management and financial advisory is an extremely important point to make. Our only job was to provide a family office service for our clients. And there was no attempt to move products, no attempt to have them buy anything from us because we were internal. And so clients would come to us with all types of daily problems and issues, and our job was to solve those issues so they could make more money in their day jobs. And much of what we were doing was saving them time and energy and providing them day-to-day service. So if they needed to get a mortgage, if they needed to get their wills drafted, if they needed to make annual gifts, we really learned how to exceed expectations with the clients that we were working with. And I think the one word that I would concentrate on as we go through this webinar today is integration. And I think that's one of the keys to the service we provided when we were at Goldman, and even to this day, is the service that we were providing was integrated across the various disciplines of what those clients were doing on any given day. We were at Goldman Sachs for about 8 years. We left in 2012 to start AJ Wealth. Justyn and I were not too constructive on the name, but we know that we were really good at what we did and had confidence when we left Goldman Sachs. It was a long period of time after 2012 where we ran AJ Wealth as a firm and really reached out to our former clients at Goldman and across the industry to try and have our business grow. And we had found success, not because of the sales, the marketing. It's a referral-based business. And what we were doing was truly providing a disciplined, integrated family office service. It was really important to our clients that they had an advisor that they could lean on for the daily things going on in their lives. And as people make more money, their lives invariably get more complicated. We've never run into a client who, as they've made more money, has brought down the complication. And it was our job to grow with them as their lives got more complicated. Estate planning, taxes, insurance, bill pay, concierge, investments. We touched on all the disciplines that touched our clients' lives. And we did this for about 10 years. And Justyn and I woke up one day and we had a team of 50 people, and we were managing approximately $2.5 billion of assets. And we found ourselves spending a significant amount of time during our day jobs dealing with HR, compliance, finance, accounting, not areas that we relished handling on a day-to-day basis. And it was at that point that we looked to merge with a firm that could help us scale our business and support our efforts in the family office space. And in June of 2023, we merged with 30 Partners, nationally recognized, large registered investment advisor that provides financial services and advisory to ultra high net worth clients. Justyn and I are co-heads of that group. Jennette is a partner on our team, and we service clients that have ultra high net worth balance sheets and complex needs. It is through this service that we have been in industry that we've been working in for the last 24 years that we have been seeing other firms and other clients out there that are clamoring for this family office service. And we found, we think, a way to provide it in a way that's really smart. And we want to be able to spread that to other clients out there. And so that brings us to today, where we'll be talking about family office, what that name means, and what people should be receiving as part of that service.
And Jennette wanted to introduce you as well and give a little bit of your background.
Perfect. Well, thank you, David, for having us. We're really excited to be here. A little bit about me. I have over 20 years of experience helping wealthy families with financial planning. As Andrew mentioned, I began my career planner at the AGO company and then went to the Goldman Sachs family office to start their financial planning offering. I spent the next 6 years providing financial planning to the pre and the post IPO planners. While I loved my time at Goldman and my daily lunches with Andrew and Justyn, I had an amazing opportunity to start the family office at a $10 billion hedge fund in Greenwich, Connecticut. So while I was reluctant to leave, it coincided with my family plans to settle down in Connecticut. I spent nearly a decade there as the family office controller for the firm's founders and partners. I have weekly meetings with the founding partners where I prepare structured agendas with my primary goal of how do I add value, save money, and save them time. I still follow those same principles today. At both firms, I learned how important deep relationships are, and I saw firsthand how the needs of billion-dollar families can differ from those who are newly wealthy. Each family has unique circumstances, individual values, and different priorities. Deeply understanding these is critical to offering family office services. During those 10 years when I was away from Andrew and Justyn, we stayed in touch. And during that time, Andrew and Justyn had started their firm. And after many conversations and dinners and lots of no's, I finally said yes and joined their firm, which later merged with Sari Partners. For me, it was time to challenge myself and take everything I learned and apply it to a broader group of clients, while also taking the entrepreneurial leap and play the complete role from generating clients to servicing clients. And the last 5.5 years have been incredibly rewarding, allowing me to provide that same level of robust service to more people. And with that, I'll turn it back to you, Justyn.
Great. Thank you both. And as we jump into the deck, I just wanted to give some background. We've structured this webinar into two parts. First, we'll talk about a top-down view of what a family office is meant to be and how the model is intended to function, starting with the growth of the space and how that growth has shaped today's landscape. And then we'll move into how to identify what you're actually getting and why that distinction matters. So jumping into this first slide and really defining and giving some numbers to the growth, it's pretty apparent as to why the space has grown so much. Just looking at the ultra high net worth, the wealth across ultra high net worth families currently at $60 trillion, up over 22% over the last couple of years. So wealthy families have been growing and growth across that wealth has been growing as well, which is really leading to some additional need for services in this area. And we've seen family office AUM currently sitting at around $5.5 trillion, which is up over 67% over the last 5 years. And so with all of that increased wealth, starting to see a significant increase in family offices. First, on the single family office side, currently there are over 8,000 single family offices, up over 30% since 2019. And over 800 RIAs are now marketing themselves as multifamily offices, about a 30% increase over the past decade. And with this growth, we're starting to see some apparent confusion in terms of what that family office term really means. And there's been some recent commentary in the papers on this resulting confusion. Jamie McLaughlin has a good article on cautionary tale, talking about hollow promises across family offices. And most recently, there was an article in Barron's talking about whether or not family office is fool's gold. So there's really been a significant proliferation of family offices, which is really leading to a lot of this confusion. And so, Andrew, I know you spend a lot of time speaking with advisors and other family offices. Maybe you could speak a little bit in terms of what you're seeing across the space.
So I think we've seen the term family office used more and more now than we ever have before. In my experience, most family offices and advisors struggle to provide an integrated service. It's very difficult to provide all the services that an ultra high net worth family is looking for, as each family has different needs and wants from what their advisor is providing. And so you end up having a lot of referring out of services to outside providers, specifically on bill pay, tax, and estate planning. Firms are putting more of an emphasis on the investment side of things. They have large investment teams, but that team is providing services that typically an individual that's spread across a very large client base. And so it does not allow them to go deep enough to actually provide an integrated service. And so what you have is an investment advisor that says, yes, we're a family office. A client asks for help on their estate plan. They bring in an estate planning attorney that's on their team or someone that specializes in estate planning who doesn't quite understand the client's situation, and they helicopter in and give some advice and then disappear. And as I said in my opening, that is not an integrated approach. And so for our viewpoint, proactive planning and an integrated team are really the keys to having a true multifamily office. And so having that first contact person be someone who is the leader of the team and can comment on a variety of aspects, and then can bring in experts that actually understand the client and are going to be with the client long term, advising them on their estate plan and their investment plan in one cohesive team that's integrated across the various disciplines that we're giving advice on. And so the family office terminology, I think it has a certain panache to it that clients are looking for. And so the number of family offices that have come about, the wealth that's been created, you have more people looking for that family office service, but you also have people who don't necessarily understand what they're even asking for. And then you have family offices that don't even understand what they're actually trying to provide. Investments have actually gotten less complicated over the years, but you're seeing investment firms wanting to provide this next layer of services, but they're just pulling people in instead of or referring out, instead of actually building the systems and integrated approach that's actually necessary to provide that system to their clients.
Great. And so if we can flip to the next slide, as we talk about family office service, here we go. We thought it would be helpful to spend some time talking about what makes ultra high net worth families unique. With a growing set of assets and spending, there's a significant amount of complexity that faces ultra high net worth families. That's a pretty different set of challenges that face high net worth families and otherwise. So I wanted to spend some time here to just give some example, bring some color and life to what the unique challenges are. And Jennette, just given your time at GS Family Office and the other family offices, you've been at the center of these situations a lot. Can you share a few examples from your experience that help illustrate these unique challenges?
Yeah, absolutely. One thing I've noticed is as wealth grows, complexity grows much faster and exponentially. The sheer volume of what you're handling is vast. I can give you cash flow management. A lot of our clients are invested in illiquid assets such as private equity, hedge funds, real estate, and distributions from those investments don't oftentimes line up with the tax obligations. Without proper planning, people can end up flat-footed and run into issues with big tax bills. A few years ago, I was onboarding a new client, newly wealthy, invested in his fund and other private deals, thought he had all the money in the world, and then got hit with a $14 million tax bill. The client calls me frantic that he doesn't have the funds liquid to pay the tax the next day. But we reminded him that we had the funds set aside in a tax account. He was like, "How did you know?" And I was like, "This is what we do." And not only were appropriate funds set aside, but they were set aside in a T-bill that matured when the tax payment was due, thereby maximizing yield on it. As part of our onboarding process, we typically establish a tax account for our clients. And as we receive distributions or we're realizing capital gains, we segregate those appropriate tax dollars into that tax account. Similarly, after a liquidity event, some clients feel an immediate urge to either spend the cash or invest in illiquid opportunities or buy homes, boats, or planes. And on paper, their balance sheet may look substantial, but their liquid allocation isn't always where it needs to be to support that new level of spend. So a big part of our role is managing their expectations around spending and liquidity and making sure there's this right balance between liquid and illiquid assets so we can help the client support their long-term goals. This planning is especially important because clients want to keep compounding their wealth, so we need to really strike that right balance between enjoying it today and building generational wealth.
Thank you. Yeah, as we can see, there are a number of different categories of challenges that are facing ultra high net worth families. And so, switching a little bit to, as we think about the definition of a family office, in terms of how we think about providing the service to address these unique challenges, the three of us, spend a lot of time thinking about family office standards and what it means. And as we sit here today, I think it's important for us to try to put a definition to it so that there is a bit of a definition out there in the industry. And starting with, there's a website called wealthosaurus.org that spends a good amount of time defining various terms. They do define family office. In reading through the definition, in our opinion, the definition could be a little bit more robust and inclusive. But so this is the definition that we see. Family office serves as an extension of the family, providing integrated and personalized wealth management and lifestyle services that align with long-term objectives and priorities. And what that really means to me is, in terms of the elements that define a family office, speaking a lot to what Andrew was saying in terms of integration and depth of expertise across relevant disciplines. Because the family office is going to be the main decision maker and in the middle of everything, and just given all of the unique challenges we've been talking about, there needs to be an expertise, a depth of expertise across all of these relevant disciplines. It can't be a matter of outsourcing some of that expertise to other providers, because we need to be the decision makers. And so with that also, there needs to be a central quarterback, somebody who is sitting in the middle of all of that, able to really synthesize all of that information and work with the family to come up with decisions, appropriate decisions for everything and anything that comes up, not leaving those decisions to any other advisors. And then, what I think is one of the more important aspects of a family office is really a really deep understanding of the family. Every family is different. Every individual is different. And in terms of their preferences, some folks want to see, really detailed explanations of everything, that we're talking about with them. Others just want to see very brief explanations of that. And so it's our job to really understand what the family is looking for and really tailor and personalize the service that we're providing to their preferences. It's not a one-size-fits-all type of offering. It's really a top-down approach that looks at the family, understands their needs, their preferences, and tailors a service offering to their specific needs. So that's kind of how I think about family office. And Andrew, Jennette, if you could share some thoughts on your guys' side.
If I could bounce in with a question before that, we had a question about some confusion on what high net worth means. Is that combined or individual wealth in your view? And how much would you need, do you think, to start thinking about a family office? And I know there are multiple types of family offices, including multi and single, and et cetera.
Andrew, you want to take this?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. I think over time, the amount of money you need to have a family office or multifamily office has changed. And I think part of that is I'd call it the democratization of investment products, as you can access things like ETFs, Bitcoin, Ethereum, digital assets. I think that has kind of opened the doors for people to do a lot more investing themselves. And then that takes the need and value of people who pitch high complexity investment products, outside of those needs. And so I would think you'd want to start getting family office services at probably around a $25 million balance sheet. And when I say balance sheet, to me that includes a couple, married or a single person, includes real estate, includes business ownership, includes 401k, liquid, illiquid assets. I think there's levels of family office services that you get at that level. And I think one of the unique things that I've seen among my client base is that the needs for family office services are not defined by the dollar amount. It's defined by the complexity that someone has in their financial life. And so a client who has a $50 million balance sheet may have a tremendously complex estate plan or family situation, and therefore their fees and costs for running their family office are higher versus a person who got $50 million in a transaction and just wants it all in treasuries. Those are two very different profiles. And I think that lends itself to a different type of family office service dependent upon really the complexity. But that's a general answer to the question, David.
Thank you. I'll come back.
And then just going back to Justyn's point, I wanted to provide an example of just kind of the family office standard and something that comes up and is a common theme that when I talk to prospective clients or current clients and explain what we do in this situation, it really gets across as it's something that we've all experienced, and that's the purchase of a home. So in a specific example, a client says to me, I want to purchase this home, and sends me a link to that home and says, I want to purchase this. Our job within the family office to buy that home for our client, it's all encompassing. So besides pointing to that home that they want to buy, we then take over. We reach out to the broker that's involved. We get our own broker involved. We will go look at the home and make sure that it fits our client's standards. We're working with the broker. We bring in a real estate attorney to help with bids and putting through a contract. Once we have an accepted contract, we put it in the name of an LLC or a trust, where we, within the family office at Cerity Partners, are trustee or manager of that trust for privacy and liability purposes. Then we attend the closing for our clients. In between that time, we're setting up financing perhaps on that house. We're making sure that there's insurance on the home so that the second we sign that paperwork, that the home is insured. We helped the family set up the utilities through our bill paying concierge team so that the TV is on and the lights are on when the client first steps into that house. We work with the designers and the architects to make sure that any changes need to be made to the home. All the furniture gets delivered, even down to making sure that our client's favorite wine is stocked in the cellar. And that way our clients go from pointing to that home to sitting on the veranda of the house, sipping on their favorite wine, with everything taken care of and the knowledge that it's being done in a way that's correct for their balance sheet level, their liability, their privacy. It's an example that I think a lot of people can associate with, having gone through the process with a home purchase and the real estate broker and the lawyer and the title company and the bankers and the insurance. It's a lot of different people that are involved. And wouldn't we all like that simplicity of just pointing at it and then having that glass of wine the day after we close?
That's a great example that talks about, really all three of the elements there. Jenna, what are your thoughts here?
I think a family office has to be a smart investment, one that pays for itself by either doing better tax planning or cash flow management or improved investment strategies, one that frees up your time for you to spend with loved ones or favorite hobbies, one that allows you to have peace of mind that your financial life is being handled thoughtfully and proactively. It's a little bit repetitive, but I do think it entails being a quarterback, like Andrew and Justyn had mentioned, having the infrastructure in place to support all those aspects, being proactive, not just reacting to a client's email, having a holistic plan and thoughtful vision for generational wealth, and lastly, having a passion for planning.
Yeah, that's a great point. And so I think it's important for this definition, to kind of take hold in the industry for folks to really understand, whether or not they're getting family office services from their provider, and understanding what to look for. And so, as we talk about that, jumping into the family office operating model, and really what it needs to look like in order to be able to handle all of the unique challenges that we've been discussing. There's and all of the different services that Andrew went through on the house purchase. At its core, the family office needs to be capable of being the decision-making core, and really directing advisors for execution. And so with that, there's a lot of orchestrating, there's a lot of thought leadership in terms of how to think about that. And Andrew, you give a great example in terms of how to think about this and how we really operate for clients.
Yeah, I think this is really important, and I think it's one of the most effective. I like analogies. One of the most effective analogies that I use to explain what we do and really differentiate how we do it and exactly what we're doing. So I think of a family office service as a wheel, and whether you are worth 10 million, 100 million, or $1 billion, the spokes on the wheel represent the people in your financial life. And so the spokes in my mind would be a banker who helps with mortgages and lending, an estate planning attorney who helps with estate planning, life insurance agent, property insurance agent, investment manager, tax accountant, business manager, or some type of legal person that helps with legal things on the family's plate. And you have all these spokes, and none of them are talking to each other. And I've never found a client in my 25 years of doing this that has said, I want to talk to all those people and coordinate with all of them. And I think the most common ones that people don't want to coordinate are probably on the insurance side. We all get property insurance statements every year from our property insurance broker, and we look at it for 5 minutes and say, I can't believe how expensive this is. How do we make it cheaper? Our property insurance agent tells us a couple reasons why it needs to be like that, and then we end up paying it. But if you ask any wealthy individual to explain what kind of property insurance they have or why they're paying for that, I think 99% of the time they can't provide that explanation. And so as a family office, our job is to be the hub in the middle of that wheel that's dealing with all of those spokes. And so when your property insurance agent comes to you and says, here's the annual renewable, we're going to look at it and say, is the deductible correct? Are we really going to file a claim if there's a flood and it costs $2,000? Maybe we are, but that's a conversation that we're going to bring up with our client. Are the valuables in the home insured in the right way? Kind of have to have an idea of how much in valuables the person has in order to answer that question. Cars, liability insurance. Our job as the hub in the middle of the wheel is to deal with all of those individuals so that the client doesn't have to. And then potentially more importantly, it's to coordinate between those individuals. So on the one hand, you have an investment manager who's managing the money for your family. And on the other side, you have the CPA who's preparing the tax return. I can't tell you how many clients come to us and we look at their tax return, and you look at the tax return and it shows that they sold a long-term capital gain stock position like Apple or NVIDIA at a gain, and they use cash to gift to charity. And any basic planner can tell you that you should be using the stock to gift to charity instead of gifting cash. But who's going to give you that advice? Your CPA these days is more of a data entry. They're not going to give you tax advice proactively. And your investment manager doesn't want the assets potentially leaving their account. And it's not really their job to give you charitable advice. And so who's going to give you that advice as the hub in the middle of the wheel? And for us, that's a real opportunity to provide lasting advice that provides financial benefits for our clients. And so to me, that's really the best example and model that I can think of, an analogy that really shows the differentiation that we have within the Saturday Partners Family Office, but also that other multifamily offices out there are striving to achieve.
Thank you. And I think this is a bit of a nuanced point, because there are a lot of providers out there that will be that quarterback and work with all of these advisors. But really the difference is what you spoke about is that integration. Each of these disciplines have a cross impact on the other disciplines. And this is really where that level of expertise comes into play and sets apart the ones that are actually being a family office and ones that are providing family office services. And so really to kind of hone in on this point and start to be able to differentiate what that nuance looks like, we have this slide that talks about what a family office is and what a family office isn't. And so, on the left side, what a family office is, a centralized operating platform for a family's life. Not just a collection of standalone services. So we see this often where an RIA or an investment advisor is wanting to provide family office services, and will start to kind of layer on additional providers. They'll bring in a wealth strategist, an estate attorney, an insurance expert. But really what we find there is it's a collection of these standalone services. Not necessarily a centralized operating platform for the family's life. And then really the key is a decision-making team integrated across these disciplines, not just leaving it up to the estate attorney to decide how the estate plan should be structured, but we as the family office need to be the decision-making team to be able to do that. And that's a little bit different from, a title of we are a family office, working with an external attorney to come up with a plan and not necessarily integrating that with the client's balance sheet, with looking at the client's assets and determining, which are the best assets to move outside of the estate versus not move out. And then really one of the most important parts is the ability to adapt to as families' assets evolve and as families really grow. We've seen over time, clients have kids, the kids grow up, their kids have kids, and really there's a lot of evolution going on with the client's balance sheet, the client's family, and the client's life, and really being in a position to understand all of that and adapt the services that we're providing. And so, a family office is not built on technology alone. It really does require this human element for true coordination and integration to be able to make sure that we're providing that family office service as intended. So, as we move along, now starting to look at, the different types of family offices. There are a slew of different types of family offices structured in a myriad of different ways. Too many to list on one piece of paper and too many to really go through one by one. But as we think about the type of family office models that are out there, just very simplistically, we see two. There's either a family office that works as a single family office. They work with one particular family and that's it. Or there's a multifamily office that works with more than one family. And so breaking it down to that kind of simplicity really helps us identify and understand what a family office is doing and the services they're providing. And a single family office, we see that as the benchmark model. And with a single family office, the family hires a group of professionals, maybe 4, 5, 6, it could be dozens of folks that are working with this family day in and day out. Whatever it is that's going on with that family, all of the family office team members know about. And so any decisions that are made, they're all centralized there. Any integration, everything is very easy to provide this integrated service offering as a single family office. And so we look at that as really the benchmark model of providing family office services. Now, when we look over at the multifamily office, this is where it starts to get a little muddied. And we start to see a couple of different variations at the heart. And really the variation that we think actually provides the family office service that we're talking about is this integrated approach. A services-based multifamily office, in our experience, has been a firm that's as Andrew talked about, providing some other service. Typically, they're investment manager or a tax firm, and then they decide that we want to be a multifamily office. They layer on additional services. They package it all together as one service offering and call themselves a family office. We see this as a services-based multifamily office and not necessarily an integrated multifamily office. And in our minds, an integrated multifamily office is more purpose-built. As we talked about, it's built from the ground up. It was intentionally built to be a family office first, not necessarily an investment management firm that layers on some additional services. And with this, we see a few different differentiations. One is, instead of outsourced specialists, there's a team of specialists within the multifamily office that's working with the client. Again, very similar to the single family office model. Instead of advisors leading that coordination, there's firm-led coordination. And in our mind, it's this firm-led coordination that has the potential to allow an integrated multifamily office to be a bit better than a single family office, mostly because the limitations of a single family office, they're only working with one family. They only have the expertise of one particular family. They only see a limited amount of planning strategies that are available to that one particular family. Whereas a multifamily office is working with a variety of families. They're working with a variety of professionals. They see a broader scope of strategies and can leverage those strategies across a client base. And so it's this ability to understand and see a broader lens of planning strategies, of situations, of experiences. It's very often that our clients are saying, if you have clients that are of similar profile, how do they think about their wealth? And of course, not betraying any confidences, but just speaking anonymously about how different people, how different clients think about wealth in different ways. And it's really that point that if there could be, a single family office, a multifamily office that's operating as a single family office and integrated at scale, that in our opinion is going to be the optimal family office offering. And so it's this integrated approach that we keep talking about that is really going to separate the service-based MFOs from integrated MFOs. And as we kind of dive into this topic, identifying integrated MFOs, so that becomes really kind of part of the equation for clients and ultra high net worth families. How do they know what type of family office their multifamily office is? And so, as we think about it, and as we look out there in terms of the other multifamily offices that are providing family office services, it's truly a difficult service to provide. It's difficult because, as we've been talking about, there needs to be an expertise across all of the disciplines. And so it requires the leadership team to really have that expertise and be able to apply it not just to one particular family, but at scale. And having the right team structure, the right processes, and the right platform where all of the team members are sharing in information and are able to work together in the same type of way that a single family office is able to work together. And so it's really this integration that is just truly difficult for firms to be able to accomplish. And then one of the other big things is just fragmented decision making and accountability. In our mind, if something goes wrong, it's our fault. It doesn't matter if it's the estate attorney or the CPA. We're never pointing blame. We always take full accountability of everything that's going on. And we see that as a very different approach than some of these services-based MFOs that, will bring in the estate attorney. And then if something goes wrong, well, it was the estate attorney's fault. In our opinion, that's not really where that optimal family office service is being provided. And really where the magic comes from being able to provide optimal planning across the board, across the disciplines. And so, it's a truly hard thing to be able to provide. And it's becoming harder for families to be able to identify which type of multifamily office model are they working with. So, Andrew, I know you speak with about various questions that folks could be thinking about. If you could talk a little bit about that here.
Sure. Yeah, I think clients now more than ever have higher expectations from their financial advisor. And as I mentioned before, investment products have been simplified, ETF, robo-advisors, and just the access to information that we all have. It's a little bit of less of a black box on the investing side, and this has led clients to look at what else they should be receiving for the fees that they're paying. A lot of clients don't even know what the fees that they are paying, especially when you're dealing with big banks that sometimes have fees that are a little bit more hidden. I recently had a prospective client send me a ChatGPT summary of what they think a family office should do and say, do you do all of these things? And so besides having high expectations, the balance sheet size for families that want family office services has come down, as I mentioned, and this makes it that much more important to identify who really is going to provide a cohesive service. You have to ask questions about who the experts are in the team. How does the firm get paid to provide their service offering? Are they receiving compensation from anyone besides the client? Is it a flat fee or an A or M model or somewhere in between? I think fees for many years has been kind of like a taboo topic that advisors don't want clients to really understand how they're getting paid. I think that's changing quite a bit as, again, the information is much easier to come by. It's important to understand the relationship lead on the team. In my mind, if there is an investment person that is the primary contact at your wealth management firm, then they are not providing a multifamily office or financial planning expertise, because only someone who is an expert in financial planning can really lead a family office team, as investments are one piece of the equation. If a question comes up about taxes, are the responses being handled in-house or referred to an outside CPA? What is the technology that connects the client to the team and then back to the client? The technology that runs the firm is going to be a very meaningful part of how that client is being serviced, down to the reporting that you're able to get from that firm, whether it's something you can see live day to day or something that you're getting monthly or quarterly. These are all questions that clients should be asking, and these are all expectations that they should be receiving of what they're receiving from that firm and that level of service.
I'd like to chime in. I think one of the more important things that one should be asking a family office rep is, what's the onboarding process like? For us, as we onboard clients, we request everything because that's the only way to provide really holistic planning. So at first, we may get a little bit of pushback, like, do you really need historical tax returns or operating agreements and employment contracts? And we always say yes. And, there's been, I'll tell you a story. I have a client who is having a future liquidity event, and we knew roughly the timing and the amount. Earlier in the year of the liquidity event, we started carrying this fantastic tax loss harvesting strategy that generated significant losses. And as we all know, time value of money is a real thing. And as the year of liquidity event approached, I started thinking, I really wish that we had more time to realize losses to offset these gains. And because I received the sale agreement during the onboarding process, I read through the document and noticed the liquidity event did not have to happen on December 20th, but it had to happen within 30 days of December 20th. So by proactively pushing out the liquidity event to January, not only were we able to defer taxes by another year, and who wants to pay taxes early, we also had an extra 12 months of generating losses on this strategy. This saved the client millions upon millions of dollars that we were able to put dollars to work in the S&P that was performing very well.
Thank you. That's a great example, and I think a good segue to the next slide of why it all matters. And this is really one of a place where we run into a lot of challenges, because without people really understanding what an integrated MFO looks like and the value add that comes with it, it's hard for folks to appreciate the fact that what they're currently getting is a little bit less than what they could be getting. And so, just to kind of talk through some of the reasons why it all matters, reduced tax leakage, whether that be income tax or estate tax, better estate execution, faster, cleaner decisions, fewer missed opportunities. And really this last one I think is very important, lower cognitive burden on the family, in the sense that the family doesn't necessarily need to think through the decisions. We're thinking through them for them. That doesn't mean that we're making decisions on behalf of the family. We're thinking through the decision, we're thinking through the variables and the analysis, and providing all of that to the family so that we're making decisions together. And so with all of these things, and I was going to turn it over to you guys to give some examples, but you've given a lot of good examples throughout, and just being mindful of time. If there are any examples that you had in mind that we hadn't talked about, please share. But
yeah, I think we all meet these prospects or clients who come on board, and they all mention what a wonderful tax estate attorney they have drafting their documents, and they don't need us to look at it, or everything is buttoned up, and that attorney does in time execution of the documents, and they kind of walk away. But no one is following through on gift tax returns. Or, sure, your Rev Trust is created, but what about moving the assets to the Rev Trust? So we come on and we basically have those changes, and that's part of what we do. Holes and things that haven't been fully executed to fruition, or there's next steps involved. I can keep going with some examples, Andrew. I don't know.
Should we move to closing remarks? Do you have anything off the top of your head?
We can go to closing remarks.
All right. So, as we close, there's been, really good reason for the growth of the industry, given the growth of wealth across ultra high net worth families. And over time, though, we expect this field to narrow again as a clearer family office standard becomes known, and as ultra high net worth families become more informed about what the model should actually deliver. We think it'll start to become easier to distinguish between true family offices and ones that are just applying the label. And at that point in time, we think the field will narrow a bit. And we believe it's really the purpose-built family offices that are the ones to survive. The firms that were designed from the outset to operate like a single family office, integrated, centralized, and accountable. It's that type of model that's going to be structurally better positioned to deliver consistent outcomes at scale. And by contrast, firms that begin as an investment firm or otherwise, and then layer on family offices, we believe are going to be are going to struggle to provide complexity as that increases. So ultimately, as standards rise and expectations become clearer, it's our opinion that the market will reward the operating models that were built for this from day one, and that'll become a little bit more apparent to ultra high net worth families.
The marketplace has started to apply the family office name to just about anything and everything. We've seen big banks, venture funds, really small firms saying that they are multifamily offices. They're not saying they are providing multifamily office services, but they're saying they are family offices. We don't see this as a viable model. Jumping in and saying you can provide parts of the service does not equal providing a full family office service. And there are basic blocking and tackling that ultra high net worth families have in common: asset allocation, tracking investment performance, making annual gifts. But a true family office, the basics are just table stakes, and going beyond those base capabilities is where families truly start to benefit from working with a multifamily office. Having a deep understanding of what the long-term goals are, helping with next-gen planning, being thoughtful about how to accomplish these goals, and simultaneously blocking and tackling basics day to day. And that this becomes a challenge. Firms need to scale their team, their technology, their processes across all the disciplines, and coordinating that is a unique challenge before you even get to the specifics of what that client is asking for.
Okay, we've got several questions, and we have a little bit of time for those, just a couple of minutes. But, are you also in the service model that you have, are you building in next-gen education and wealth planning for the next gen, et cetera? Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, next-gen education, it's interesting. Having done this for 24 years, we've now seen our clients get married, have kids, and now those kids are reaching that stage where they're asking questions about wealth and access to trust. And so we have next-gen planning as a real key component of what we do for our clients. It's really dependent upon the age of the clients and what information the parents want them to receive. It may be an education about how the estate plan works without using numbers. It may be a full kit and caboodle of this is what the child has and this is how they access the money. I think the key is, and we've seen people say that they have next-gen education as part of their service, it has to be catered to that client. It can't just be some program that you roll out that has a predetermined PowerPoint presentation that you apply to every single family. It has to be specific to that family, what their specific estate plan is, how their kids are, what the parents want the children to receive. And I think that specificity is really the differentiation that all clients should be striving for.
Okay, a bunch of questions came in on this area, which is, you mentioned that how the firm is paid is an important differentiator. So how does Cerity Partners get paid? What does the model look like from your side? What's your compensation structure? Those are three separate questions.
Sure. Yeah, so I think our model is flexible to the client. Some of our clients are come in the door and they're illiquid. They have company interest, but they have really complex holdings that they require a lot of planning around. And for a client like that, we might do a flat fee. For a client who has a large asset management base that wants us to manage those assets, there may be an asset management fee that has a base flat fee amount incorporated into it. I think the issue that we've seen is firms and clients have this preconceived notion of how they should be paying that fee. And for us, one of the most important things when it comes to fees is alignment. We want to be aligned with our clients to do really well, a really great job for them, but not feel too impacted if they decide to buy a home and not take on a mortgage. Then should their fee be adjusted down because of the planning that we're doing? And so for us, having some component of flat fee for the financial planning services and then an asset management fee for the asset management services does a nice job of aligning interest for that client.
And since we're really coming to the top of the hour, maybe the final question: Do you work with and bring in family business consultants to help navigate complex family dynamics issues as they arise?
I'd say if needed, we try to handle a lot in house, and we've seen a lot, and I have a lot of experience in this field, so are able to provide our own opinions. And where we're not, one of the other strengths that we haven't really talked about are the network of providers that we work with, top-notch providers in every area. So whatever the question is that a client has, we're able to help. The answer is never no. And so whatever a family's needs are, we're able to provide them, typically in-house, but at least tapping into the network of providers that we work with.
Excellent. Okay. Well, I want to thank all three of you for a really in-depth webinar. There are questions we did not get to, but they will be provided to the Cerity crew here, and they can follow up with you independently. I want to thank all of you for joining us for this first webinar of 2026 from Family Business Magazine. We have a whole array coming this year. I think you'll enjoy all of them, at least I hope you will. And if you are working on issues around the future, consider joining us for Family Business Legacy 2026. We'll be talking about family offices, estate planning, and more. You can just grab this this QR code and learn more about the event. With that, I want to say thank you to everyone yet again. We'll see you at the next webinar.